What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Bullshit, where we tell it like it is and not the way it wants to be told. As you can see, this episode of Bullshit, I'm going to be directing it towards vegans. Now, first off, let me just say this. I've had some negative experiences with vegans during my 23 years of living on this planet. I would like to say that, first off, I don't think all vegans are like this. Like I said, there's various people of various races, creeds, occupations. Some people are worse than others. Some people are more extreme. Some people are, more subtle. But from my experience, vegans haven't been the most reasonable of people. Now, if you don't know what veganism is like being a vegetarian, but you're trying to take it a step further. You don't eat meat products, like vegetarians, like they don't eat meat or, anything like that. But they take it one step further, like they don't wear fur, they don't eat milk, cheese, eggs, basically any type of product that comes from an animal. They don't buy it, they don't support it, they don't, wear it, whatever. Like they don't consume or buy animal products. Now, the past couple of days, I was actually talking to a vegan. And I'm not going to give out that person's name. I was actually having a conversation with them over YouTube. We were going back and forth, and of course, it led to some. I'm sad to say, some words that like they're calling people idiot and stupid and all this other thing, but just because we eat meat. Right, and they like it's just really bad, you know what I mean? Like I said, I don't think all vegans are like this, but the whole premise of being a vegan is that you put animals on the same level as a human. And what I plan on doing this video is just to get my point across. See, they don't believe that animals were meant to be eaten. But I'm going to show you from various sources after I get finished, explaining everything to you. And, like just getting all my points across that, all the sources, and out of all these sources that they have that says that eating meat is wrong. And like we weren't never meant to eat meat, like the Bible. I'm going to show you specific verses in the Bible. Like it's a website that is up, so, I didn't have to, physically go and, search through the Bible myself to find these, but, I did check them, and those verses are in the Bible, so they are, so this website does hold merit. But yeah, so like I said, like they have a habit of putting animals on the same level as humans, knowing good and well that animals are not on the same levels as humans. You know what I mean? Like they're lower on the food chain, so you just can't put us, like right there, like in the same bracket in the food chain. So since they have a habit of comparing, humans to animals, let's play by their rules. Let's play their game. Or like for a form of better words, like let's play by their rules. Let's start off with murder, because they actually bring up some interesting points. Like when you talk to them about it, like when a person kills another person in self-defense, can you still consider that person a murderer, or is that person considered to be a protector because he or she was threatened with deadly force or was approached in an aggressive manner by an unknown person, and they felt like they had to respond in kind. Now, you compare that to someone who is a serial killer, just killing for no sensible reason at all. They aren't doing it to defend themselves or anyone else. They're just doing it, because literally like the sky is blue. It's on that level of stupidity. The point I'm trying to get to is that they're both killers because they both killed, yes, but you can't label one of them as a murderer because their reason behind it, the reason behind why they killed are different. Same goes for animals that get killed. Was it for someone to eat? Was it, like, were they just camping out and, like a bear attacked them and they were in a corner and they felt like their life was threatened to where they had to use such force? Or were they poachers and, like trophy game hunters? Just because they may eat, just because, like a person may eat meat or buy meat products, you can't place them in the same category. Because if you want to play that game, if you want to take that route, and you want to be an animal activist and you want to say all these things, then, like pretty much, I can be a plant activist. You say killing animals is wrong because animals have life, right? I can be a plant activist. They have feelings as a human, maybe not as a human or an animal does, but they do have them. Sounds stupid. Sounds like a stupid comparison. Well, so is putting animals and humans in the same level. You know what I'm saying? But, so based on that logic, if you are against killing living creatures or so much, or living things, they're murderers too. Because, when a plant or a tree gets pulled out of the ground, like, what do you think you're doing? You're killing it. You're taking it off of the life supply. Like you're taking it away from that source that it needs to live. It needs to remain in the ground in order to live, right? When you take it out, what happens? You killed it. You can label it, like, can I label you as a murderer for doing that? No, not really, because why? Because those plants are going to feed someone so that they can live, i.e. you, or, just anybody who eats them. That's different than someone just picking plants and fruits and vegetables and just tossing them at a wall for fun. Like that's a waste. Like that can be looked at as murder in a sense. Now, that's if we're going to go that route. When you pour water on a plant, what happens? It absorbs that water and all of the microorganisms that's in it. Yes, organisms, living, invisible creatures to the naked eye, get absorbed into that plant, and that plant consumes life in order to live. Whether you want to admit it or not, that happens. A Venus flytrap, how do you think, a Venus flytrap gets its name? By eating flies. Now, I don't know if people eat Venus flytraps, but I've seen people do crazy things in my life, so I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But, like the point is, just like plants consume life to live, just like animals consume life to live, just like, humans consume life to live, that's what life is. That's the way everything has been since the beginning of time. Life was made that way. We have to consume life in order to live, regardless of what you eat. It was living at one point, and that's a tough pill to swallow for a vegan. But it's the truth, and it may be viewed as evil, but then again, when you look at evil backwards, like what does it spell, right? That's life. Now, let's take it to the Bible, or the biblical times. And I'm going to take it to the Bible on it. Now, God created animals to assist us. Now, this is just my little philosophy. Like you don't have to follow this, but it does hold merit. God created animals to assist humans emotionally, physically, and nutritionally, and spiritually. Like I would be guessing like that kind of ties into emotionally as well. But you know. But yeah, God intended for man to eat meat because God said man cannot live off of bread alone. And what happened, and what was the main thing that you know the people ate that God gave them? He gave them meat. He gave them birds. Birds fell from the sky, and he fed that to them. Jesus fed a group of people with, you know, meat and bread. You know, like the 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. You know, so why don't you look at the lamb? Like the lamb was used for pretty much everything. You know, like back in those times. You know, like why don't you look at the 10 plagues of Egypt? What did God tell them to do with the lamb's blood? You know, what did God tell the people to do with the lamb's blood, like before he sent that angel of death, that last plague upon Egypt? Look it up. You know, animals were made to assist humans emotionally, physically, and nutritionally. Some take on multiple roles, but you know, but some animals were made for human consumption or just consumption, period. You know, don't believe me? Look at the natural human anatomy. You know, like all you got to do is just smile in the mirror. We don't have teeth for grinding and cutting and biting for nothing. Now, that alone doesn't prove that we were meant to eat meat, but it doesn't have to, because everything I'm saying this is going to basically prove it. Now, I've said up until now, we were meant to eat meat, you know. So, like I said, as I progress in this video, you're going to see that, yeah, we were meant to do that. But now another thing that I want to tackle are the words humane and inhumane. 2 words that vegans really don't believe exist. Well, you know, like they exist, but they don't believe in those 2 words. You know what I mean? Like, if you bring those 2 words to a vegan, the response that they're going to give you is just the most bullshit comparison you can get. Like, I explained this to a vegan once before, and do you honestly know what the reply was that, you know, he or she gave me? He said, well, if you believe in humane, you know, slaughter, which is the wrong term, by the way, you know, like, but as we get in more into this video, like I said, like I will explain what that is. But I guess, you know, like, if you believe in, you know, humane slaughter, then I guess you believe in such thing as like humane rape and, you know, humane murder and humane child molestation. You know, now I've already tackled the murder deal earlier, so I don't need to go any further with that. But humane rape, now, excuse my language, but how the fuck are you going to even come up with a comparison like that when you're trying to defend that eating meat is wrong? You can't compare killing an animal for horns, fur, etc., and only for those reasons and just leaving the meat to rot. You know, that's inhumane slaughter. Humane slaughter is when you kill an animal and you make their death as painless as possible. Now, like I said, humane slaughter is the wrong term there, but I'm just using something that, you know, like a lot of people are more familiar with. So, like I said, I'm going to get the correct words there. Just bear with me. But, you know, humane slaughter is when you kill an animal and you make their death as painless as possible. Oh, I got a phone call here. 98. I don't know who this is. But, yeah. But you make their death as painless as possible. And you use as much of that animal as you can. You know, or, well, not as you can, but you use all of that animal. You know, that means the heart, the kidneys, the liver, the tripe, which is the stomach, the intestines, and of course the breast, thighs, legs, etc. So I don't get vegans when they attempt to try to put all meat eaters under the same microscope. That's like somebody, honestly, like the way that they act, well, for like the majority of them, from my experience, like the way that they act, it's like somebody brainwashed them with videotapes of poachers and trophy game hunters and animals that get beaten in the head with like bolts and crowbars, and we're told that all meat eaters are either like this or they support this. Now, I'm not saying that what they like that's what they actually think, but based on how they react and how they act, that's what it seems like. But I could be wrong. If any vegan sees this, by all means, tell me different. So whether they are willing to admit it or not, there are such things as, humane and inhumane, and a difference between them is, humane slaying or humane sacrifice, and inhumane slaughter. Those words were created to tell the difference between animals that's killed for food and to help something else live, and those who poach and just kill for sport and only for those reasons. They don't take care of the meat. They don't use the meat. They just take like horns and little things like that, or like the fur of the animal, and they just leave the meat there to rot. Like, that's bullshit to me. Just like the words carnivore, herbivore, and omnivores label the 3 different types of diets for all living things. Carnivores for the meat eaters, herbivores for the vegetarians, and vegans for the vegetarians or vegans, and the omnivores for both, which humans are. We aren't giving these teeth just to eat plants, vegetables, and fruits. Man was meant to eat meat, but it's because of guys like, that have the thought process, like the Native Americans and the various Indian tribes and the various people from, all over in various walks of life, that use the term humane slaying or humane sacrifice and things like that. Now, I don't know if that's true, but that's just my theory on it. But, it's because of them that we have terms like that. You know what I mean? And they told us to respect the land, and if an animal dies, if we take an animal's life, use all of that animal. Don't let life die in vain, I know a lot of vegans are pissed off right now and trying to find some way to defend themselves desperately, like, well, at least we don't consume flesh, at least we don't, bash animals on the head with sharp objects, and, like, at least we don't kill living creatures and consume life. No, but we've been over this already. When you think of the word creature, you think of animals and humans, but plants can be put in that same bracket, whether you like it or not. Like, plants are alive. I spoke on this earlier. Biology class, learn something. Heck, even vegans call it live food. You don't consume flesh? What do you call the inside of a fruit or a vegetable? Like, that you have to open up with a knife. Flesh. You know what I'm saying? You saying that you don't eat flesh at all? Period? Bullshit. Let's continue. We don't bash animals in the head with sharp objects. No, we don't. And because it's already been done. You know what I mean? Well, for you. Well, for me, well, not for you, because, like, vegans don't eat meat, but that's not the point. It's already been done. Just like trees getting chopped down and get repeatedly hit with sharp or objects, or like an axe for lumber, or when a living species, just like trees getting chopped from its roots and gets killed, you have to cut that plant and pick that fruit off its life support. You have to kill it. You have to, regardless if you want to acknowledge that you're doing that or not. You're doing that. That plant is alive, and you know what I mean? It lives. It has a life. Now, you may not have to do that physically yourself because it's already been done for you. All you got to do is just go to the store. They have taken care, but they have been taking off their life support, and it's there for your consumption. Plants are alive, and that means that they have life. So, do you consume life? Just like, everyone else, regardless of what you eat? Yeah, you consume life. You pretty much do. And I'm not even going to get into like like things like cannibalism. Like that's just one big major taboo amongst us humans. Like they have snakes that eat snakes. They have chickens that eat eggs. Truth be told, I've seen it. There was an ag class at my high school. Yes, I live in like a country ass town, but literally there was a chicken that was pecking its egg and they like literally just eating it right there. So, but amongst humans, like that's a major taboo. Um, so do you value the life of a plant on the same level as a human? No, you don't, because they are lower on the food chain, just like fish and cows and different animals that we eat. Now, that's how God made it to be, and if you don't believe in God, then that you can just say that's how nature intended it for it to be. You know what I mean? Now, some vegans might ask, well, what's going to happen if all of the animals that you eat are gone? My only or like my best response to that would be the same thing that would happen if all the nutrients in the ground got used up and like the plants and fruits and vegetables weren't able to grow because there weren't any nutrients left in the soil. Like you're going to move on to another food source. You're going to have to, or you're going to starve to death. But your body and mind are going to kick in the feed me mode, and a lot of things are going to look like food to you. In some rare cases in history, humans have eaten other humans for those reasons. They were stranded. They literally, it happened. All you got to do is just Google it. But it's not that I don't agree with what vegans do. I do, but only to a certain extent. You know what I mean? Now, I'm for like protesting against animal cruelty. That I respect, and I'm with you on that. I'm against poaching. I'm against trophy game hunting. That just killing for small portions of the animal and leaving the meat to rot away. That's just, so to me, that's like fishing just to throw the fish on a riverbank and like, just leaving the fish there to die and rot away in the sun. You know what I mean? You're wasting food, and for what? That fish could have fed a family. That fish could have went to making sure that somebody had something to eat so that they can live. And I'm against that, but I have to stop it there, and I have to draw the line, because based on what I've been told, the way vegans have insulted me just because I eat meat, I have to stop it there, because they start to compare anyone who eats meat to Adolf Hitler. I swear to you, like they believe like it's this animal holocaust, going on, and they're probably right on that. There are a bunch of animals that get killed for little to nothing, and like I said, I'm against that. And when you massively kill off people, or you enslave them, or any living creature for that, and like there's really no purpose other than like hate or greed. Like to me, there's a problem with that. And in that metaphoric sense, you can compare him to Adolf Hitler, but you can't do that with every meat eater. And I don't even have to get into the explanation on how really idiotic and stupid that is. Some vegans have said that, that people that eat meat, like they don't do it for health, survival, like sustenance or self-defense. Like they don't kill animals for those reasons. You know what I mean? Like obviously we don't kill animals for health, survival, sustenance, or self-defense. Like that's their argument. Like they believe that the only 4 reasons that people that eat meat, like eat cheese, meat, milk, eggs, or things like that, is because of habit, tradition, convenience, and taste. Obviously, we can't. There's no way that we're going to eat meat for survival and health, and for like sustenance. And there's no way that you can be put in a position to where you have to kill an animal in order to live. But I digress. I'm not going to even get too deep into that because that pretty much speaks for itself, right? Now, I got to be honest with you. I'm not spitting on what vegans do. I am just respectfully disagreeing with the way vegans seem to react to meat eaters, you know. And as much as some of them may not want to admit it, you are the product of someone consuming life, including animals. May not have been your parents, may not have been your grandparents, but we all come from the same primitive genesis. We all come from the same beginning. The people that had to eat meat had to make sure that they lived, and, you know, those traits got passed on to us. You just ignore them. Now, like I said, I'm not spitting on. If you don't want to eat meat, by all means, I respect that. It's an uncommon thing to do. It's not easy, you know. Well, for those who've been, you know, vegans for a while, like, it's easier on them than somebody who just converted. But, you know, it's really not an acceptable lifestyle, and part of that reason is because they act so extreme. You know, like, they do crazy things, but like, that's a story for another time. Like, vegans think you believe in the term humane slaughter, you know, then they will ask you, do you believe in such things as humane rape, humane child molestation, like, you know, like humane Holocaust, you know, things like that. Now, I did, like, touch on this a little bit earlier, but I'm gonna like, just elaborate on it, you know, a little bit more now. First off, the words rape, child molestation, Holocaust, and slaughter have nothing to do with they have nothing to do with just you know, like, eating meat in terms of using it with the word humane. You know, rape is an act of forcing yourself on someone else sexually. And sad to say, this is including animals. It's some weird people in this world. I've caught it on the news a couple of times. You catch that shit on the news like once or twice a year, and it's disgusting. I don't know, no, no, but you know, and with rape, you know, or like any type of sexual act against a child, you know, that's child molestation. And there's nothing more sinister than that. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, to me, there's nothing more petty and pathetic than somebody who's committing child molestation, period. Now, a Holocaust, to me, is enslaving, killing, or starving to death people because of their looks or religious beliefs or race or whatever. You know what I mean? Like what happened to the Jews during that time. Now, slaughter is an act of just mercilessly killing a living creature, you know, or a living species like humans, animals, sea creatures, plants, insects, whatever, you know, etc. And there is nothing humane about any of these things. So you cannot bring these up in a conversation when we are talking about humane slaying of an animal. There is no such thing as humane slaughter, because the actual, like, you know, like, definition of those two words, they kind of contradict each other. So there is, however, a such thing as, you know, humane sacrifice, which is, you know, humane slaying, which I've been talking about. When you kill an animal, you use all of it. You make sure that none of it goes to waste. It's a sacrifice. It went to benefit something else for the purpose, like feeding and clothing, you know, like another animal. Now, I want to tackle the 10 Commandments, because out of the 10, one stands out the most to vegans. Thou shalt not kill. Now, and because of this, you know, like, they try to use it as like leverage in their debates. Now, first off, let me explain the commandments to you. They were given to Moses from God. God makes the rules. God breaks the rules. He sets them. In the Bible, it says, "My flesh dwelleth no good thing." You know, meaning that we have to sin to live. Now we don't now not to the extreme like people would may believe or think, but something has to die in order for us to live. Killing. That's why we ask for forgiveness. Because we know we are sinning when we are eating. Well, at least for those who are like conscious of what we're doing, that's what we're doing. We're killing to live. Thou shalt not kill. But that goes for plants and animals. That's why we pray over our food. Like for those of us that are religious, I'm not talking about atheists because they are, like on their own path. But for those of us that are religious, we pray over our meals to give thanks to God for the sacrifices that had to be made in order for us to live, because somebody doesn't have access to those resources, and like they had to develop various diets or what they had to eat in their area. Now, I know some vegans are thinking right now, oh, you're thanking God for allowing another animal to get killed. Like, so that's such a meat-eater thing to say. Well, that's a typical vegan thing to say. And no, we don't thank God for allowing something to get killed for nothing. It was a sacrifice made to help me live. So let me ask you this again. Are humans on the same levels as animals, etc.? No, they are not. That's how they think. It's all based on how they think. They don't think as rational. They don't, try to think. Like vegans, they don't try to think about that. Like bears, lions, and rabbits, and humans. Based on science, we are all animal species, right? We are called mammals. Lions, bears, and rabbits. Period. If a bear eats a fish, based on what a vegan thinks, it's just nature. If a lion eats an antelope, it was just trying to survive. If a rabbit eats a plant, it's nature. But if a human does these things, like excluding the plants, then we're basically seen as evil. Like we're seen as devils. We are evil people. But if animals are built on the same level as humans, as you say, if we are going to, if we are honestly going to go by that, then us eating meat or plants is of nature. Plant life is life, period, regardless if it has a nervous system or not. It's living, it has a hormonal system, like whether the seeds get planted in the ground by a human or like whether the wind carries them off or whatever. It's living, it has a hormonal structure, it is alive. It's living, and in order for you to live, you have to kill that plant. It has to die from unnatural causes. Not all apples fall from trees by themselves. You know what I'm saying? Everybody had to, well, not everybody, but somebody had to separate it from its life source and consume it in order to live. But you don't think, a plant's life is worth not being killed. Why? Because it's lower on the food chain. That's just how you were made to think. Bears are mammals, just like humans. That bear will get the same nutritional value out of eating a fish as I would had I eaten it. Yes, I do not. Yes, I do not, but I do eat raw fish. It's called sushi. I enjoy it. It's good. But also, like baked fish, like I don't just eat sushi all day. But you know, like you, like somebody is calling again. Not answering it, but yeah, you understand my point. You know, just like you said that, you know, the vegans that I've talked to, they said that I can't value a plant's life on the same level as a human because it doesn't have a nervous system. It's lower on the food chain. You know, well, if we're going to be nitpicky, you can't value animals we eat on that level, like pretty much on that same logic, because animals, they don't think on the same level as a human in terms of, you know, being rational as a human. And I'm not talking about pets because we don't eat our pets. And speaking of which, I'm gonna switch to this video right here, not video but picture. You know, as you can see, this one tag, this one little sticker right here. It said, "If you love animals called pets, why do you eat animals called dinner?" Who the fuck made this stupid shit? Like I said, excuse my language, but seriously, if you love animals called pets, why do you eat animals called dinner? Because they're two different fucking things. The animals that we consider to be pets aren't consumable. Why do we eat animals called dinner? Because those animals were made for consumption by, you guessed it, God. But, you know, but back to what I was saying, you know, plants, even though they don't have a nervous system, one, it's lower on the food chain, and you can't, and if we're going to think like that, then you can't value animals we eat on that same level because they don't think on the same level as a human in terms of being rational. And I'm not talking about pets, you know, like there, but yeah, like they are here to emotionally assist us. You know, those are pets. They're here to emotionally assist us, and this is that, you know, the philosophy that I had. You know, animals were put on this planet to assist humans emotionally, physically, and nutritionally. Different animals take on different roles. So this is bullshit. Hence the name of the show. I expose. I tell it like it is, not the way it wants to be told. They don't want to hear it. Too bad. It's the truth. You know, you won't consume your pet or any animal that we consider to be our pets, for that matter. You know, to assist us physically, you know, the human body can only do so much. Or more so, like, animals are stronger. And God gave us dominion over animals, right? Right. People have, you know, animals like cows, bulls, and horses that help to plow the field so that they can plant seeds into the ground, help grow food, to feed everyone, humans and animals alike. You know, to assist us nutritionally, fish, cows, chickens, ducks, various land animals, and sea creatures. Finally, I want to tackle this thing that you know, dead animals or like dead animal meat causes illness. That's only part true. You know, dead animals causes illness, and you know, like they carry you know, various types of viruses and um, diseases. You know, and that's only part true. That's only part true. Because dead animal meat is a food source, just like any food source. If it's not handled with care, it's going to rot. It's going to rot away. It's going to get bad, and it won't be safe to eat anymore. And plants carry diseases also. Big surprise. You know, Plants can cause illness just like any food source, but that depends on the person, because different people may have an allergic reaction to different foods, you know. But so you have to handle food with care. You have to store it properly, and you have to clean it, etc. You have to do all these things in order to make sure that what you're eating is safe to eat. And this goes for animals and plants. So let me get to this this thing right here, where it basically breaks down the Bible, when God told who to eat what. Now, as you can see up here, let me scroll up. You see, vegetarians. Many people have become vegetarians because they think that it's wrong to eat animals or even wear their fur. Some people even try to prove their point with scripture. The verses below show what God says on the subject. You know, in the beginning, you know, he said God gave man dominions over animals. Now, I will have this link to this, you know, like to this in the video description, so you guys can check it out yourself. You know, these are Bible verses. You can look them up. They are listed by verse. As you can see, like, they got Genesis, first 26 through the 28 verses. You know, like, they really break them down. We were told to eat plants. We were told to eat plants and seeds. You know, like beans. Even the animals. You know, even the animals only ate plants. You know, scrolling down some more. God told us that we can eat. God told us which animals we can eat. You know, God told us which fish we could eat. God told us which insects we can eat. After Christ's resurrection, you know, after Christ's resurrection, God said that we can even eat the animals, fish and fowl that had been unclean before. You know, John the Baptist, who was filled with the Holy Spirit while still in his mother's womb, was not a vegetarian as some claim. You know, he ate locusts and honey, most because that's all that was available in the desert and wilderness. And people don't eat meat to survive. That's a good example right there, right in the Bible. Since they want to use religion and they want to use the Ten Commandments, you know, that ties in with the Bible. Hey, you know, locusts were insects, you know, and if, you know, if killing was as bad as they said, you know, like, vegetarianism would have been sinful. You know, God commanded that Jews eat the sacrificial lamb at Passover. Even Jesus was a Jew. You know what I mean? You know, Jesus never sinned. You know, it would have been sinful for Jesus to give people fish. And I talked about this in the video. You know, it would have been sinful for him to give fish. You know, Jesus also ate fish himself. Like I said, they broke this stuff down properly, and the verses are there, so you can look this up in the Bible yourself. Of course, like, you know, like, there are various types of Bibles out there that may reword it or re-edit it a little bit here and there, but it's pretty much the same thing. Like, for example, like, you have the Holy Bible, and you have like the King James version of the Holy Bible, which says the same things, but it just says them in a different way. You know, like, Jesus also ate fish and honey. His resurrection, after his resurrection, you know, just to prove that he wasn't a ghost to the people that thought he was. Animals and skin furs. God also gave us animals so that we could use their skins and fur. After Adam and Eve sinned and realized that they were naked, they covered themselves with leaves. But when God saw them, he covered them with animal skins instead. Animal skins were also used for the tabernacle by order of God. Hunting animals. God did not say to hunt for sport, but for food. Even tells us how to hunt so that animals could continue to reproduce. You know, treatment of animals. You know, various things. And I can continue to go on and on. But I'm going to end the video here. So I'm going to leave this link in the description. You guys can check it out. And, hey, if you want to go by the Bible and you're a vegan and you say that, you know, and like, you want to use that thou shalt not kill, God gave us permission to eat animal meat. It's right here in the scriptures, and you can get a Holy Bible and you can look it up yourself. You know, so with that being said, as long as there's bullshit in the world, I'm going to have shit to talk about. Vegans, stop overreacting, quit being extreme. I'm for protesting and, you know, I'm for, you know, like protesting against animal cruelty, poaching, and hunting for sport, and only for those reasons, and leaving the meat to rot and wasting an animal. I'm against that 100%, but don't sit there and act irrational and start calling people Adolf Hitler and things like that. You know, I've had some bad experiences. I don't think all vegans are like that, but, you know, quit being an asshole. If you're going to be a vegan, be a vegan. You don't have to be an asshole to do that. But that being said, like I said, as long as there's bullshit in the world, I'm going to have shit to talk about. In peace. I'll see you guys later.